Hi. Okay, so this episode definitely had its moments, and pretty much all of them were Maddie's facial expressions, because she was brilliant during the conversation with her mother. Absolutely brilliant. I'm here for all of it. So, if you're new here, hi, I'm Cozy. I like to talk about sister wives and related reality television shows here on YouTube. I do like to remind you these videos are for entertainment purposes only. These are not facts. They're just my opinions about public figures sharing their lives on television. So if that's cool, we're cool. Alright. Before I hop into Sister Wives, full disclosure, I filmed this already. And I started uploading it. And then I accidentally deleted the file before it was done uploading. And now it is stuck in upload limbo forever. So I'm now refilming this after I filmed part 2. So heaven only knows what sort of dumb things I'm going to say at this point. So let's jump into the actual episode instead of rehashing all the silly things I've done. So it's becoming my weekly ritual. I settle in on the couch with my husband on Monday mornings and with a cup of coffee to watch Sister Wives. Monday morning, Cozy? You don't watch the episode on Sunday night and get to see all of it and then have extra time to do all of the things you need to do? No, of course I don't. Do you know why? Because I have Max. And Max and Discovery Plus no longer get the episodes on Sundays. Thanks, guys. Really helpful. Also, I'm super tired most evenings, so by like 10 o'clock, I'm not down to watch an hour-long television show. I'm really kind of ready to settle in and get ready to go to bed for the night. So, Monday morning, we settle in, we get the coffee, and we are ready for shenanigans. Well, we open up on Salt Lake City this time, and now we cannot decide how pregnant Maddie is, because last time she was 4 weeks, 4 months, now she's 6 in this one, whatever. But Janelle shares that Maddie and Caleb have talked about coming west again, and that they've been talking about buying a piece of property all together, with Janelle and her children. So while on their cross-country trip, they found some property they were really excited about, and they're going to go check it out. So Janelle, the grandbabies, and Maddie are all getting in the car to go check it out. And Janelle gives Truly this hug and says, "Thank you so much for letting me stay in your room." And it was just so sweet. I loved it. Christine shares that it was on the way back from Idaho when they went on that trip to see her brother, that she found out that Maddie, Caleb, and Janelle were talking about this plan because they were talking and texting and sending listings back and forth. And she got to hear everything. And essentially the plan was, if Maddie and Caleb did in fact buy property and decide to build, Janelle's going with them. Christine's questioned at the time if Janelle was really leaving Cody. She says Janelle affirmed her decision, but Janelle doesn't share a ton. And Christine still has a lot of questions. And I don't blame her, because there is a lot there. There's a lot of difference that goes on from the time they went to Idaho to now. But Janelle reminds us that while she and Cody both live in Flagstaff, they don't speak, they don't interact, they don't anything. And she says the relationship is over. It is done. But it seems like some folks have not gotten that memo yet. And looking back, I feel like the definitive endpoint for Janelle was the Christmas fight, where Janelle says, "Okay, so we're done here." I think that was what she was trying to say. Oh, we're done, right? And so I took it at the time as, oh, we're done with this fight. And I think Cody did too, because he says, "Yeah, we're done," as he slams his way out the door. Now I wonder, is that really what she meant? Or was she trying to say, oh, so we're done here, like this is just over, I don't want to do this anymore? And she's like, there's no official divorce, but she doesn't know how to get one, and she doesn't really need one. But you can tell Janelle is super excited to be looking at this land with Maddie. She's giggling, she's saying she's already counting herself into the plan, and Maddie's like, that is the plan, we're buying this together. And Janelle shares that she's got this land in Flagstaff, but does she? Does she have it? She's not actually sure, because it's not paid off, right? And the deadline is looming. Cody is refusing to discuss it without jumping through a million hoops. And so Maddie makes this face that we're all making because, right, we saw this coming. But Janelle breaks down the lots on Coyote Pass for us. And so we have two 2-acre plots, one owned by Janelle and Cody, and the other owned by Cody and Robin. The 4-acre plot that comes next is Cody, Mary, and Janelle. And then finally the 5-acre lot was Cody, Robin, and Christine, but she quit claimed it to them. And now it is just Cody and Robin's. And we all know that Christine decided to leave it so that she could take the equity in her home. And looking at this, I did not realize that it was a 5-acre plot that Christine was abandoning to them. And so I think that actually seems really reasonable for her to take her equity and give them those 5 acres. Firstly, it is not her fault nor her decision whether or not Cody actually pays off the land and does something with it and improves it to the point where he would get over and above what Christine got out of her house. We know he did pay it off. They still haven't done any improvements to it. So it's hard to say. Janelle does let us in on a little bit of the financial dealings within the family. See, Robin has the Shira Chateau. My words, not hers. Christine had her home. And of course, Mary has this business that she built up without family money. And if I remember correctly, Bonnie, her mother, and Adam, her brother, were the ones who helped her secure the down payment for Lizzie's. And that is Adam, the brother that Janelle was married to back in the day. Janelle points out that this land is the only asset that she and Mary are looking to take from the marriage. Assets that, might somebody remind Cody, their names are on and they have legal claim to. So Maddie wants to know, what if you don't pay it off? What happens then? And Janelle says, well, technically the owner can take all of it back. It's idiotic, and surely Cody wants to pay this off. The side-eye and pursed lips that Maddie gives, this don't say anything look, perfect. Because she's like, almost like she's like, if I say something, it's going to start some mess here. She does not trust her dad to not let it all go. And I can understand, because frankly, I don't trust him. If they hadn't already paid it off, my opinion would be that he would let it go just because Mary and Janelle would have claim to nothing. So Janelle says the property they paid in full is collateral for the note. So it's insane Cody is not taking this more seriously. And Cody does this like look over his shoulder when he is asked about it. And he's like, Janelle asks me about the property all the time, but I'm not going to tell her anything because I don't trust her. So I'm not going to give her information. Okay, I'm sure that's going to hold up in court, Cody. That's cool. Her name's on the deed. And he keeps going, I'm not going to give her any information. We'll pay the property off when the time comes, but I'm tired of telling her things that run through the gossip mill of this family. I wanted to help Cody figure out, is this gossip or is she talking about her life? Because the definition of gossip is a light, informal conversation, usually about someone else's business. In this case, Janelle is talking about land she owns and business she's doing, discussing her own life. If you want to argue that that's gossip, sure, fine, we can talk about it, but in my opinion, it's not. Yes, she mentioned that Cody won't speak to her. That's entirely relevant to the point of the discussion. For her part, Janelle's like, Cody leaks like a sieve. I know details about his other relationships and other wives that I probably am not supposed to know. I cannot say I'm surprised by that. Like, we've seen from other sources that it's pretty common in polygamy to kind of discuss the other wives and their business with one or more of the other wives. Often that dynamic seems to, pit them against each other for the benefit of the husband. I have no idea if that's the dynamic in the Brown family. I have no idea if that's just the nature of polygamy. I'm not casting aspersions. I'm just pointing out that there might be precedent for that. That's all. Maddie does point out, though, Robin's sitting on that house. Do they even have interest in building anymore? And Janelle's like, well, they say they do. They keep saying they want to build out there, but I don't know. And she also admits that she doesn't really want to be neighbors with them. And Maddie's like, yeah, no, I wouldn't either. Robin, of course, hops in to tell us that she would be great being neighbors with Mary, Janelle, even Christine. And she still has hopes for Mary and Cody, and definitely for Cody and Janelle. And that moment made me turn and look at my husband and go, oh, you have to do what Christine did and firm break up with Robin, don't you? Because Mary did this, we can still be friends. And Janelle didn't say anything to her, and now she's still holding out hope she can win them back. Mary is firm that it is highly unlikely she is ever going to build on Coyote Pass. And why would she? She's in the middle of this separation. It doesn't make sense for her to build out there. Her business, her best friend, basically her life is in Utah. Why would she build in Arizona? She seems perfectly content to be living in Utah. So for her, Flagstaff makes no sense logistically. Cody gives us a scoff and he's like, oh, we'll never be neighbors. Christine and I will never be neighbors. And then he says, as much as Mary claimed she was a part of this, I never believed she'd build here. Yeah, well, I believe that that's a self-fulfilling prophecy, Cody, since you did everything you could to convince her not to build. You gave her a space in the trees. You gave her less land than everybody else. You took away the pond. You basically told her, no one wants you here. Why would she? And now he says that he really has to think about whether or not he'd want to be neighbors with someone who said, I'm done with you, talking about Janelle. To me, that's the crux of the issue. If he wants to build, in my opinion, he has to make sure that none of the other women do. So by shutting them out of the process, I think he's trying to force them to lose interest and sort of give up on the land. Except Janelle is a force to be reckoned with, and Mary is definitely angry enough to get what she paid for. Oops. Janelle begins, your dad has this weird way, but Maddie cuts her off and is like, we might be able to finance the last few acres of Coyote Pass. But if that happens, Maddie wants 4 acres and she's selling it. Janelle shares that if she and the kids did buy the debt, that they would make sure Mary got her share, and then Cody and Robin could just have the leftovers, because they already have this giant house, but also an extra lot with extra acreage. And she reminds us, family money bought Robin's house, so this is entirely fair. And if we recall from previous seasons, Mary and Janelle gave up the proceeds from their Vegas homes to buy Robin's house. And Janelle's like, I just want what's fair. And Mary has been treated very badly by Cody for years. She doesn't want that to carry over into this property division. And it's been nice to see Christine and Janelle stick up over Mary's mistreatment for the last few seasons, but hey, where have you guys been for the last 10 years previous? Just saying. Maddie's like, well, listen, that would give you a portion of the money back that you put toward Robin's equity, because they listed the home for $700,000 more than they paid for it. Do I think they're going to get it? I don't think so, but I'm not a real estate agent. I have no idea what real estate in Arizona looks like. I live in the Midwest. I know what it looks like here. I did look at the listing, and I noticed the oddly empty bookcases and shelves in some rooms, and then in other rooms there was enough clothing to open their own Goodwill. Whatever. If you want to look at the listing, you can find it. I'm not giving you the address. Sorry. Maddie brings up the money, and Janelle's like, yeah, I know. And you can tell she's really starting to regret her choice to help. Like, you can see, I think somewhere in Cody's reaction to Christine keeping the money from her own home, it opened Janelle's eyes into how her contribution toward Robin's home was being treated. And she remembers back in the day, they would use all the resources to help one person, and then they'd rally around the next person when the next person needed help. And that changed somewhere in the last 10 years or so. Suddenly it's all about the estate, and everyone needs their own estate. And Robin's like, listen, the point and the plan was for my home to be a family asset. It was never intended to be just mine. But Janelle immediately refutes this when she says that when she put the money in, she asked to be on the mortgage. In fact, she asked for Mary to be on the mortgage. And Cody said no, because they needed to protect Robin's estate. She needs it to be hers, and Cody needs it to be theirs. In other words, it was always intended to be Robin's, whether she was part of that discussion or not. But it does beg the question, how many of the details is Robin privy to? Is she lying, telling us that it was supposed to be a family asset? Or did Cody not discuss that with her and then kept Janelle and Mary out of it on his own? Janelle just wants the value of her property and to recoup some of the money that she put into Robin's house. That way she can go and do something different. I blame her for none of that. She's been on the show for 19 seasons, and we have watched her sacrifice for her kids, her sister wives' kids, her sister wives. She lived in smaller homes, bought less stuff, lived in a tiny apartment, lived in an RV, moved to a slightly larger apartment, and went to work when no one else did. She has been trying to make this family dream happen. And Robin says it was like they were working together for so long. And I agree it was like that, but it wasn't that, if you ask me. Others were working very hard, and you were buying gumball machines, ugly chairs, and more clothes than some department stores carry. She claims they stopped working together recently. Same point as previous. I will not repeat myself and bore you the same way that this show repeats itself 48,000 times. So she says when Janelle brings up that Robin and Cody owe her something, how do you calculate and figure that out? She says it's so confusing. Well, this is a great question, Robin. How much money did Janelle give you toward the purchase of your home, plus the cost of acreage for Coyote Pass? So I jumped onto Zillow and I was like, can I find a plot of land that seems similar to or is a reasonable location compared to Coyote Pass? And I found a 9-ish acre lot for $600,000, and the math tells me that'd be $64,794.81 per acre. So I just use that as the number, and I would say then that you owe Janelle the money she put in for the house plus $150,700 or $971.90 for the roughly 2.33 acres that her name is on. Now, that is in no way a factual amount. It is literally just I went on Zillow, I found some numbers, and I used them as a baseline to just sort of solve the word problem that Robin decided to give us. Do not take any of that as reality, please. But every plot of land on Zillow looks the same as every other plot of land. So, I mean, you really could have picked any of them and tried to get some numbers. I just went with one that seemed reasonably close. I am with Maddie when she says it's utterly ridiculous they haven't paid off the property yet. And she wants to know why. Janelle insists that Janelle says Cody insists, that they have other debts, but she's watched the money. And Maddie wants to know, what are these other debts? And this is the moment of truth. If you were on YouTube and Reddit about a year or two ago, you'll remember when everyone was freaking out about the art on Cody and Robin's walls, how cramped they were, how awful the walls looked, because it was like every square inch. And Janelle chooses to enlighten us that Cody keeps buying assets and sitting on them. Trailers and blah, 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 she says. And then she says, I see all that art on their walls. Girl, how could you not? It is every square inch packed. And she says, it's fine. I have money and I've spent it on things too. And now, once again, we have followed Janelle on many a move. From small house to RV to teeny tiny apartment to slightly bigger apartment. And I have not seen any insanely expensive things in her home since they got to Flagstaff. Frankly, I'm not sure I saw anything that crazy in Vegas either. Yeah, she did buy the RV, but she lived in it, and it seems to be being maintained for travel and camping purposes, and I'm sure when she moves to North Carolina, it's going with her, and she'll probably get good use out of it there. So, Cody asserts that the women each took care of their household. His focus was on getting and insuring the cars for the kids, because they had a whole fleet of them. And he's not wrong. When you have that many children, you're buying a lot of cars. Christine feels that Cody and Robin shared everything, from house payments to utilities to groceries to everything. And Janelle's like, I don't know how it worked at Robin's house. I don't live there. I really don't know. But she was always surprised how nice Robin's backyard was and how there was always new stuff at her home. Robin says that Cody and Robin's money were completely separate up until Janelle and Christine asked to leave the family and financially didn't want anything else. I don't think Janelle did that. But she didn't say, please take me out of the family financially. She said, I don't want to do this anymore, and tried to get her part of the land. So Robin says, I used to be bad with money, but during my divorce, I learned how to budget very, very well. Okay. She does this backhanded comment of, you must have had a different priority than I did. I'm so sorry, Robin. I didn't know that gumball machines, 48 crock pots, all the ugly dishes, and whatever that mess was on your counters during the last Christmas episode was priority one. That's chill. She knows she's being rude. Where does she think the money was going? I know that there had to be a chunk of it that got funneled over to her for her bills and things, because we watched Cody and Janelle go over the bills and try to sort out how to pay them. So that commentary was entirely uncalled for. Janelle points out that Cody does not prioritize what she needs or wants, and the quick yeah from Maddie sounds like, Mom, I've been telling you this forever. On the couch, Janelle's like, I did start to see it after a while, and my kids were getting pretty angry about it. Cody's like, there's a lot of misguided jealousy and a lot of trash talk. Is it true? Probably some of it is, he says, but most of it is not, in his opinion. I would venture to say. How would you know? You're not speaking to anyone, so... Janelle shares her perspective that Cody started to cut off communication with Caleb and Maddie when the family started to dissolve. And their grandkids, they don't know who he is. He doesn't call, he doesn't visit, he doesn't anything. And Robin's like, I have encouraged Cody to work on any relationship, or I've encouraged Cody to work any relationship he can out with his kids. But she guesses it's a two-way street. Robin Alice, what does that mean? First, work any relationship he can out is so grammatically confusing that I've stumbled over saying it, not just in this recording, but in the first one too. And whatever arrangement they come to work out, is this like a Creaster family? See, I had this pastor that would refer to people who only came to church on Christmas and Easter as Creasters, okay? And it's starting to sound like she's chill if they see each other at Christmas and any other large family event, because God and Robin only take attendance on those days. I don't know. Secondly, his kids? I thought that they were your kids too. You used to tell us in other seasons that these were your kids. So, thirdly, it is a two-way street, but it's felt pretty one-way for a very long time, and now the kids have decided to close the road, and that's perfectly acceptable. They put up a boundary. Robin points out Maddie's not reaching out to her dad either. Maddie made her boundary very clear. If you will not be present, if you will not be available, if you will not be a grandpa to my kids, we're not doing this. Fair enough. Janelle says Maddie is mama bear to the extreme. She wants consistency, and she doesn't want Cody's dramatics. In that sense, it's better for her kids if they just don't know about him. And Maddie and Caleb really don't have a relationship with Cody either, because he doesn't call them. Back in the car, Maddie's telling Janelle she thinks it's absolutely smart for her to move away from Flagstaff. And this week, Cody decides he's going to talk about Madison. And he tells us he cut off communication because she only called when she wanted gossip. And he was tired of it. Okay. In my opinion, I think that he decided Maddie was a gossip when Christine finally said out loud that Maddie and Caleb had talked with her about Christine leaving. And that was the first instance I can remember of him complaining about the gossip mill at all. And even then, I feel like he blamed it all on Maddie. But after the break, we are finally in Ennis, Montana with the ladies and the kids. And I'm not even joking when I say I look up property in Montana a lot. I want to live in Montana or the Dakotas, and I think it's actually possible. And I'm not 100% sure, but I did look at land near Ennis. I think it's possible I may have looked at this plot of land on Zillow. Just saying. It is beautiful, if I'm thinking of the right one. Janelle says they found this listing on their road trip, and they decided they had to see it. It's about 5 hours away from Christine and the kids in Salt Lake, and so she says it's a really good place because it's, really relatively close to the core group of the family. I Googled, it's another 5 or so hours out to Vegas from there, making it kind of the perfect halfway point for Janelle's kids in Vegas, too. And she's like, there's no contact with Mary, Cody, Robin, and she doesn't really see that changing. I do agree with Janelle. Montana is beautiful. There is this huge expanse of land that they are standing on looking at. And she says it's so hard to visualize 40 acres when we're used to half an acre, maybe one in a residential space. But when you have this empty plot of land and you can almost see from edge to edge, whoo, it is huge. Axel jumps in because he's going to play in the dirt. And immediately I was like, oh gosh, don't let there be prairie dogs. Like, that was my first thought. Janelle and Maddie love this property, and it's everything that they'd want in a piece of land. They aren't farmers, they're not ranchers, they just kind of want a couple animals, maybe a greenhouse, and they're looking for this rural lifestyle. And me too, girl, me too. This land, though, is about 40 minutes away from town, and town is only about 1,000 people, meaning driving the kids to and from school every single day. And Janelle recognizes that, yeah, that sounds great on paper. Sure, 40 minutes, not that bad, but doing it every single day, probably a little outside the realm of doable. Robin's like, if Janelle moved, I would be devastated. And she doesn't know how to let go, and she hasn't let go of Janelle. Sure, you have to, though, because she's kind of her own person with her own life and needs, not a thing you just get to keep. Just saying. She insists Janelle and Cody could still work this out and be a family. And she's like, I feel like the idiot who can't let it go. Once again, I'm not going to call her the idiot. I do question, though, why Janelle? You guys don't have like tight relationship. It doesn't seem like your kids have this really special connection. It's crazy to me she's absolutely stuck on Janelle. And her repeat line of the season is, I don't know how to let it go. I'm confused. I don't know how to let it go. I'm confused. Girl. Cody does reflect on Maddie and Caleb living with them in Vegas, and he calls it the best time of his life. He says they had the 4 homes and things were going smoothly. I don't know how smoothly they were going, Codester. Maddie and Caleb were around, and he loved it, and he loved Caleb, and Caleb was definitely like family. Apparently not anymore, but okay. He blames the divorce for tearing things apart, on top of differences with Janelle and differences over COVID, and we are just going to keep repeating ourselves till we're blue in the face. Cody, it wasn't COVID specifically. Symptom, not cause. Symptom, not cause. He claims that this is what made the relationship sour. And Christine counters that it's absolutely ridiculous for him to allege that the kids were frustrated more after she left because they were frustrated with him before she even said she was going to. Her leaving didn't change those relationships, and he has a chance to fix them. He just needs to take it. Once again, I agree. Her leaving, symptom, not cause. Cody, in all of his selfish wisdom, says that he's so angry over how he has been treated that he's not gotten past it, and he's not willing to take blame for any of the things his wife or ex-wife said he did. Huh? He hopes that in time they'll come to this place where there's no more contempt and they'll just be able to have forgiveness and love again. But as long as he's utterly unwilling to reflect or take any blame at all, I don't see that coming. Back in Salt Lake City, they're having a welcome home party for Isabel at Aspen's house. And it's all the kids that we've already been seeing, plus Hunter. This was always the best part of the show. Just seeing the family hang out, have a good time, and interact. Janelle's already back in Flagstaff, but Maddie and the kids are still in town. And Christine wants to find out a little bit more about Janelle and her future plans, because she knows that Janelle opened up about leaving Cody, and now she's looking at buying land with Maddie. And we know, of course, that she bought land in North Carolina, and they announced just a few days ago that they're opening a flower farm there. And I'm super excited for them. This sounds like the perfect Janelle venture. But Christine's questioning where she throws her support. I mean, it's obviously you support her desire to move forward with a new start. This thing feels so fabricated. There is actually no way that Christine thinks Janelle's not done with Cody. Like, it feels faked for the show. It feels like the producers are like, you need to keep pushing, you need to keep pushing, you need to keep prodding. But she says she is supportive of Janelle moving out of Flagstaff and moving with Maddie, but she doesn't know if Janelle's there. And if Janelle was not there, she would not be looking at this land and moving on. Gathered around the table, Isabel is trying to clean something off of McKelty's sleeve. And she's like, it's fine. You have a child. You can be messy. And Hunter's like, what does that mean? And Maddie's like, oh, when you have kids, you get to be a slob. I don't know if that's entirely true. I mean, I feel like some days it is for me, but not every day. Christine shares how much McKelty hates being pregnant. Girl, same. Girl, same. But she reflects on how funny it is that she and Janelle were pregnant together, and Janelle also didn't enjoy pregnancy, but Christine did. And now their daughters are pregnant together. She continues on saying McKelty is nearly done, and it could be any time. And yes, Robin's going to be at the birth, and it's going to be awkward. And Robin's like, it might be awkward, but I'm just not going to let it be. I'm here for Tony and McKelty and these babies. I'm here to support them, and it's not about my feelings. I hope you stick with that. Christine's like, I have no relationship with Cody and Robin. I know he's angry. Robin's heartbroken. I've moved on, and it's really weird to consider these confessionals were likely filmed super recently, because hearing her talking about loving single life when we've already watched her wedding, and when these were filmed, it had already happened, more than likely. I mean, can we just time skip, Puddle Monkey? Seriously, I know you filmed it all, but we could have done without a lot of this stuff, and we could have skipped the next episode entirely, in my opinion. Mitch is grilling, grandbabies are playing, and Aspen thanks everyone for being there in their small home that accommodates children. Yes, it does. That was a direct quote, and I'm not sure if she's trying to reassure herself or what's going on. It just seemed like an odd thing to say. Christine's like, I love a table with a lot of people and not enough room for everything. They're having lobster, which I thought was a huge no-no in pregnancy because of the mercury content in a lot of seafood. But I Googled it, and I guess I misremembered it because it's on the okay list. I had no idea. Peyton shows up late to the gathering, which, yep. Christine's like, well, he lives an hour away, so he's often late to things. And Maddie's like, hey, you got a job yet? And he's like, well, I went into a bar, and it was not a bar. It was, in fact, a gentleman's club, which is an interesting turn of phrase, considering that there is nothing gentlemanly going on in them, in my opinion. They call them that? I don't know where that came from. He says he was speaking with the owner, who was also the bartender, and the long and short of it is, Peyton's a bouncer there now. The table just erupts with laughter at this turn of events. And, of course, Aspen has to make sure her little brother's not a stripper. Christine is not going to elaborate on it any further than to say Peyton has a job at a bar. And Aspen wants to know which one. And if we go, will we see you there? And then she says to Mitch, whatever they do there, I will do for you. You don't need to go. Christine shares this is not the Utah that she was raised in, nor is it the Utah she thought her kids would live in. She'd figured this would be more of their life in Vegas. But it's pretty funny to look back now and see them freaking out about the influence Vegas was going to have on their kids, only to watch it all play out in Utah, of all places. Christine's excited to have Isabel back in Utah, and she hopes Maddie, Caleb, Logan, Hunter, and Janelle will be around a lot more. And frankly, I would love that for all of them. So, that's where we end part 1. Like I said, I already filmed part 2, and frankly, I already filmed part 1 once. So, you know, we're just doing this backwards and a lot. Don't worry, they're both going to go up at the same time because it's a lot easier to do it that way. I'm sorry that things are a little bit late right now. This week's been really busy. We had stuff with my son's cast, we had things with school and things with here and church and there. It has been a busy, busy week. So, that being said, in part 2, I went over all the things you need to know about the preview for the upcoming episode. So once you've gotten through this and go watch part 2, you'll be caught up to date on everything. I am going to go and I'm not sure yet. Maybe watch a show with my husband. I haven't decided. Maybe crochet a unicorn. We'll figure it out. But until the next one, I'll see you guys later. Bye!